Choosing to become a freelancer is a really difficult decision to make. Not only do you have to come up with your rent every month, but it's also unlike any other job experience you've had before. So I'm here to share some tips as a freelance curator and artist who's been working in London to hopefully make your freelancing career a little bit easier. Or if you're looking at getting into freelancing, hopefully I can help you make the right decision. So let's go. The biggest one is probably, how do I keep motivated every day? How do you get out of bed? And the way that I've found helps me is finding one thing to do per day, which has nothing to do with your job. For me, it was exercise, and it started in January. It was a New Year's resolution. It stuck. They actually can. Isn't that unbelievable? And I do it every other day. And even if I've done nothing else on those days, I can look back and go, wow, this is something to be proud of. I've actually done something, which is benefiting me. And another thing is finding a work task to do for even like 30 minutes. As long as I feel it's getting me closer towards my goals, that's motion. And a lot of times, because my work is so closely linked to social media, I will miss out on filming things. It's not my favorite thing to do, but as long as I'm doing something on those days, even if it's behind the scenes, I know I'm not standing still. It is absolutely vital that you have a space in your house, which once you go and sit down at, you are working. I literally have a curtain which separates my bed and sleeping area from my working area. And while sometimes I will want to do work in here, I know that if I'm feeling a bit unmotivated, I can just step out, go to my working area and jolt myself into working mode. It's like clocking in, but less boring. And I cannot express how important this step is. In my second year of university, I had a flat which was just a bedroom and a kitchen, which meant there was no common working area. In my little room, I had a bed and a desk which was at the end, and it was kind of hard to access, which means that I would do all of my work and my sleeping and my scrolling on my phone from the bed. This gave me no separation and led to pretty long unproductive times. And 2 months before I left that place to come back here, I shuffled the furniture around a little bit and put the desk in a much more accessible place where I could go up to it every day, do a bit of work, and have that area where I could jolt myself into being motivated and clocking in. And those were probably the most productive 2 months of my life. I got multiple exhibitions. That was the same time I had a few videos go viral and started earning money online. Find a space that you can go and feel comfortable doing your work in, and your attitude will change completely. Another thing is being comfortable with nobody understanding what you're doing. There will be times when I am struggling with my workload where I just want to vent about it with somebody, but your friends are unlikely to be the ones who are able to give you solid advice on what to do. I've constantly had issues with pricing my own art, and I've talked to my friends about it. But when I go into these conversations, I don't expect to find the solution. And it's being comfortable with that and finding your own solutions, which is a huge help. Now, let me tell you about the worst thing that can happen. You are flying high. You have got this huge opportunity on the horizon. Somebody's offered it to you. It is a promise. You know it's going to happen. You haven't got anything written down on paper, but you are really, really excited about it. You get so excited that you start telling other people about it. That opportunity 90% of the time doesn't happen. And it's not because you told anyone about it. It's not some sort of curse, but it is because you cannot truly rely on anyone's offer or deal unless it is written or you've got a date and time in place. I have been offered exhibition opportunities which I got so excited about, which never came to fruition. I have been told by people who I really, really trust, I will buy your work at the end of this week. I will buy your work at the end of this month. And then that turned into, I will buy your work at the end of this year. They're never going to buy my work. And I don't think this is them being malicious. It's just that other people have their own lives to attend to. And sometimes it gets in the way. Sometimes they are actually ghosting you. That's fine. As a freelancer, you have to move on. So here is how I avoid that. As far as I'm concerned, if I get told of an opportunity which isn't written down and I don't have a time and date for it, I'm going to pretend and I'm going to prepare myself for that thing never ever happening. And then if it happens, great. I can celebrate afterwards. But if it doesn't, I don't get hurt in the process. And that's a really tough one. But if you prepare yourself and don't get too overexcited, you'll be fine. There's always other opportunities. I started my freelance job in university, which allowed me to have a lot of financial freedom, thanks Student Finance England, to be able to not rely on my freelance job solely for my rent or food. If in your freelance job, however, you are relying on your job to supply your rent and food money, that is also a huge motivator, but it's also a big source of stress. So while this may not be useful information to everyone, if you're in a situation where you are able to have a bit of financial freedom, be it in university or living in your parents' home, anything like that, do not wait to become a proper adult or have your own place to start your own thing. It is absolutely paramount that you start as soon as possible. Like I said before, your friends or your husband or your wife are not going to completely understand your work 100% of the time, but that's fine. I've discovered that being in a relationship is a huge comfort in my life. Obviously, you have to find the right person and they have to be comfortable with how spontaneous freelance work can sometimes be, and you also have to like them. But for me, having someone who I get to talk about my day with consistently is a huge part of my motivation, and a daily connection, whether it be a relationship or a best friend, is really helpful to me. Another issue of mine that I run into is that I have a huge problem with thinking that I can do everything better myself, and this has led me to get burnt out before, and it means that my more important work often takes a hit. And finding someone who you can trust and can share tasks with can really take a load off. Other people are able to do really good jobs at things, and other people have their skills. For the art shows that I curate, I've found out that I really like the setup and things like that. But come opening night, honestly, I just want to chill and talk with people, which means things like social media content, photography and stuff like that. I make sure that those are out of my hands. I often hire my friend Damon for photography, and he does a fantastic job, way better than I could have done. And not only do I get less stress, but I also give an opportunity to somebody who is my friend and who I know can do an amazing job. And sometimes that will be an issue financially, but there are always other things that you can offer in return for services. As a freelancer, you probably have a specialist skill. If you're an artist or a designer, maybe you can offer something for that person's website. Maybe they really need a portrait of their pet. If you're a musician, maybe you can sing at their wedding. There are always workarounds. Just make sure to be respectful of people's time and always give back. Whilst I may not be the best at chilling out, if you're a freelancer, as in you're working just for yourself and you're under your own name, or you're starting a company, having a collaborator is a huge help and motivator. Not only can tasks be shared, but you also have a level of reliability on each other, and you can check in on each other that work is being done. And there will be different things that each of you excel in, which means tasks can be divided in ways which are way more effective than trying to do everything by yourself. And if there's an equal skill level and payoff for you both at the end of the collaboration, you're often able to help each other without feeling like one of you has hired the other, which can feel less good. For example, I'm quite good at social media, which means I am a good marketer and a good speaker. Those are my strengths. But if you need me to calculate costs or put together a schedule, I might be a bit disadvantaged. So finding a partner can be really helpful for me in those aspects. And in a similar way as to having a specific place which you work at and a specific place where you rest at, in this process of collaboration, you might actually become quite good friends with this person. And a weird dynamic can start where your business relationship starts getting muddled with your friendship. But as long as you're able to set boundaries and have like nights off where you're able to stop talking about work for those few hours, you can make that a relationship which you enjoy both in and out of the office, be that a real office or a WeWork. It's so hot in here. I hope that was helpful. These are definitely things which have helped me keep going and also helped me navigate like the oddness of freelance work over the past 2 years. But do I love freelance work? Of course, it's a really fun way to work. And if there's one huge piece of advice which I can give, which is really quite unhelpful actually, it is to get started sooner rather than later. The building stage is the hardest part, so get building. If you're interested in curator life or artist life, which is what I do on my day-to-day, follow me on my Instagram, which is where I am most active, and you get to see all of my projects and a lot more annoying short-form content. And if you enjoy my sarcastic rambling, subscribe, because I'm never going to stop. ever. Okay, bye bye.